Good afternoon, Commissioners. Happy New Year. And Mr. Grody, I'll turn the meeting over to you.
Good afternoon. Call to order the redevelopment, Madison Redevelopment Commission meeting for January 9th. First order of business is the approval of minutes from our December 5th meeting. Those have been circulated before. There's no changes or comments. I'll get a motion to approve as written. So moved. Seconded. All in favor? Aye. Great. Next order of business is claims approval. We have claims in front of us that have been circulated to the board. Several claims totaling $24,983.94, plus 3 bond requests. First one, number 24, is for pay application number 6 from the Michigan Road Pump Station. Second one is number 25, a handicap ramp for shops at Sunrise Crossing. And the last one is number 5, is for the pay application number 7 for the Crystal Beach pool. No real comments or changes on any of those.
No real comments. The pump station is the final request payment for the pump station. That is closed out. There was a handicap ramp missed on the original design and review that was discovered at the end when we accepted the road. So that was that change order. And then Crystal Beach is moving along swimmingly. So, so
Great. So any questions or comments on the claims and the bond requests? Could I get a motion to approve and pay?
Make a motion to approve the claims and bond request.
Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. No one opposed? So moved. This is finance manager report.
Yeah, you'll see in your packet the financial report through the actuals of 2023. There's still a little bit of closeout going on in early part of January, but I think we're fairly accurate there. 2024 is listed there as well, and you'll note that projections for 2024 is almost $2.2 million in revenue that we believe we will see from the TIF revenue collection. So nice increase there, and that's almost about a $300,000 increase. So most of that's Sunrise shops at Sunrise Crossing. And if you remember, we were projecting that to be in the low threes when that was originally done. So that's going to be a nice carry forward there for us moving forward. I have no other real comments about the actual plan unless you do. Gary Smith will be here from Reedy in February to review a number of changes and some accounting things that have to take place each and every year, just to remind us of some stuff, and also talk a little about fund creations. We have known this for several months with the clerk's office last year. We didn't want to throw it into the mix, but we have to set up separate funds for each allocation area. Something I discovered hadn't been done in the past. So those funds will be set up separately in the clerk's office. It's really all about an accounting function, but he'll explain a little bit more about that at the next meeting as well, because we'll be introducing an ordinance at City Council to create those funds for each of the allocation areas. So instead of having one main TIF fund now, if you look in front of the revenue report, you'll see all those allocation areas. There will be a fund at the clerk's office where those monies will get deposited based upon which allocation area they came from. Doesn't change how we spend the money or where we spend the money. It's just an accounting function.
And that will be part of the package.
It'll be part of the packet. We'll start to break out those revenues so we see which allocation area those come from. It'll start to become more and more important as the North Madison sunsets and the riverfront, allocation area that we just set up starts to generate some dollars, in Sunrise Crossing and those sorts of things. So now that we have these allocation areas generating dollars, it's going to be important for us to see where it's coming from. So he'll be talking through that in February.
Okay. In terms of the financials, any feedback to Tony about what we like or don't like as we go into it? They'll still have a summary. We still have a summary page.
Yeah, this document will stay virtually the same, except for we'll start to break out the revenue collections based upon page 4. So each allocation area will have its own revenue collections. It'll still roll itself up, but from an accounting perspective, it'll create more work in the clerk's office and myself, because we'll have to write down more account numbers and stuff, but we should have been setting up, as a city, we should have been setting these up all along the creation, and when we set up the riverfront allocation areas, when we discovered that it hadn't been being done that way, so we're gonna correct that and make sure it happens. Well, that's all I have on I would say that we ended the year at $1.8 million in change in the redevelopment commission. Over the last 5 years, we've averaged about $1.9 million at the end of the year. So we're, again, with all the work we've been doing and all the projects, we're still, cash flowing things in a very good way, maintaining that balance. As we talked, moving forward here, we are meeting with Tom Pittman and Reedy on that second series of bonds, which will be used for some of the quality of life projects and match for Ready 2.0 and some of those other projects that are on the list. So again, we think that'll be mid-year.
Any other questions, comments? Next order of business is old business.
Yeah, so I mentioned, I think at the last meeting, that we approved a change order in November for the HMI lot. It was a deductive change order through, as you can imagine, through all the spreadsheet cells and those sorts of things. When we did the deductive change order, there was a couple cells that weren't calculating appropriately that were found in right around Thanksgiving. So as we went through that, we couldn't get it prepared enough for the December meeting, and I wanted to make sure it was right. So the engineers have asked us to rescind change order number 1 for the HMI lot and approve this change order number 1, which will set the contract amount for the bid bond and all those other things. And so if I could have you rescind change order number 1, I believe, I don't know if I have that amount, but rescind change order number 1, and the new change order number 2 is a negative change order of $331,238.82. The original deductive change order was $407,000, and that's the one I'd like for you to void. I did provide you sources and uses of the dollars for the project to ensure you that we still have the additional dollars in play, and we do. So.
Any questions for Tony on this? If not, yeah, what?
No, make a motion to rescind the original change order of $407,000.
That's a deduct change order, yeah.
And approve the new change order, all in one motion. Can I get a second on that? All in favor? Amen. So moved. Thank you.
Thank you.
New business?
Yeah, new business, you will see change order number 2 for the Michigan road improvements. Again, that's a deductive change order. As we've moved through these projects, we've worked really hard to work collaboratively with our engineering companies and our contractors in the field to look for opportunities for best practices and modifications on constructability of some things. There's always that. Michigan Road was determined we did not need to make the improvements necessary for one of the turn lanes going into the shopping center. So a lot of that deduct is in this, along with some other things. But that deductive change order will then set the final contract for that, and the final pay app will be at the February meeting. So I'd ask for approval on the deductive change order for Saddam Contracting on the Michigan Road project.
Could I get a motion to approve the change order number 2?
Second.
All in favor? So moved. Other new business is the
Election of officers. So each year you have the fun task of determining who's going to be president, vice president, and secretary. And I'll leave that up to the commission.
Do you want to keep the same as
Oh, there you go, there's a motion.
Yeah, exactly.
So who made the motion? Dave?
Yeah, I make a motion to complete slate of officers to continue on in 2024 through 2023.
Any discussion on that?
Who's second? Oh, Carrie, I guess.
All in favor? Yes, we vote yes.
Okay.
So moved.
All right. Thank you all. Congratulations, officers, on your reappointment.
Thank you.
At this point, the mayor is headed to the state address this afternoon with the governors at the state house for the governor tonight. So he's not here. He wanted to make sure that if you had any questions, feel free to email him or give him a call. He's always available to answer questions of the commissioners. I would say currently we've had really good progress on all our projects. We'll start to I'll give a recap here in the next couple of weeks for the February meeting on where those projects, a number of them are finished. And I can say most of them all finished below our expectations. Again, below the expectations of some of the budgets that had to be high, approved higher because of the bidding environment. But I think you'll see Culver's is doing extremely well. Talking to their corporate folks, they're exceeding expectations exponentially. They are usually trying to stay at about 80% of their first week's revenue, and they're well in the 90s. So it's being very well received, and the intersection improvement project, I think, was much needed. So I appreciate the commission support on that. But I think that was a good addition to our local economy. And again, the Sunrise Crossing project is, just been a really great project for us. The data continues to be strong, and as I've mentioned before, we're still looking for that national restaurant chain, and we have interest in continuing to meet with those and work through that. So that project is going along well. We have a couple of tax abatement opportunities that we're working through in our industrial park and in our industrial complex throughout the city. That'll be happening. I am working on a housing strategy. I did pepper you with 3 or 4 articles about the situation. As you well know, we are not the only community struggling with housing and the affordability question. It is a nationwide, it's a statewide problem that's going to be working through many years to resolve. At some point, communities are having to take the step to help do that by jump-starting some additional development. So we're working on some of those strategies again with residential TIF and some of those other funding sources that the state legislature gave municipalities last year. We're working on how to couple those together with potentially local dollars to help jumpstart that additional housing options within our community. So that'll be the next big move.
When do they start that? When's that phase of the Sunrise Crossing?
Yeah, so Sunrise, the residences at Sunrise Crossing, the phase 1 will start in June, we believe. They are going to be coming to the Plan Commission for their final approvals here in the coming weeks. We are anticipating a closing on the property with them in the month of May. So as soon as we close, they want to be ready to roll. I met with them last week and I worked through some small details, but they're in design and documents are being finalized as we speak, and they hope to be able to get that ready to go in June. It'll be about a 18-month construction cycle, so it'll be 2025 before we see new units on the market there from them. It'll be about 100. It depends on the mix. That's not finalized yet, but anywhere between 183 and 190 roughly, depending on the mix of 1, 2s, and 3 bedrooms. So
Do you know if they're using local construction?
we've asked for them to use local construction. I know the GC's not local, but we've asked for them and provided them with a number of local contractors in the list of registered contractors that we have. So, and that's part of the EDA. That was part of the EDA. So.
Any other questions?
I have no other new business.
Being no other business, next
Should have those